stop pretending. Stop pretending. And the reason why I say that is because let me tell you, at one point or another, many of us begin to pretend. We pretend to want to go after our goals and our dreams. We pretend to want to go after our new career goal. We pretend to want to lose the weight. We pretend to want to get out of debt. We pretend that we want to finally get uncomfortable and do something extraordinary with our lives. And so it was George Bell who said this. He said that you can pretend to care, but he said that you can pretend to care, but you cannot pretend to show up. And I believe that many of us are playing the pretend game. We're pretending to care about our goals and our dreams. We're pretending to want to lose the weight once and for all. We're pretending to want to write the book. We're pretending to want to go back to school and get the education. And the reason why I say we're pretending is because we find ourselves having a whole lot of great conversation, but we haven't been willing to follow it with action. We haven't been willing to show up. Most of us have some kind of big dream, something that we're pursuing. And I don't know what that thing is for you. Maybe perhaps for you, you've been on this journey. You've been going through this process. You keep talking about how you're going to lose this weight once and once for all. You've been trying to shed off those 10 pounds, those 15 pounds, or maybe you're trying to lose a little more weight than that. Or maybe perhaps for you, things that got a little out of control and you have found yourself in some significant debt. And so you've run up a credit card bill, or you're dealing with some student loans. You're dealing with some debt and some things, and you would really like to eliminate the debt. But when you look at the amount of debt that you have, it's overwhelming, and you're saying to yourself, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Or maybe perhaps for you, you have been on this journey now, in this process of trying to figure out how you can start your own business, or you've been trying to sort of break a ceiling. You have your business now. You've been consistently been able to make 80,000, maybe perhaps 100,000 in your business. And you're just simply looking at how can you just raise the bar and just get to the next level. Or maybe perhaps for you, you've been going from one toxic relationship to another, and you've just been trying to find that one solid relationship that you can give your all, that you can be vulnerable, that you know that you can have somebody that absolutely has your back. And as you look at those goals, as you look at those things that you want to make happen, sometimes when you look at them and you look at the big overall grand scheme of things and everything that you believe that you have to do to be able to realize your goals and your dreams, here's what you come to a realization that it seems in many ways to be a little bit overwhelming. And oftentimes you ask yourself the question, well, where do I start? Like, how do I start? I mean, I've got all this debt, or, I am literally in this situation where I'm trying to lose this weight, or maybe perhaps I am trying to get to this next level in my business, but I just don't know where to start. And so I want to impart with you just one simple idea. And what I'm saying to you is, as opposed to focusing on all the things that you have to do, what if you just focus on just doing one thing? And I'm not just talking about doing just one core activity, but if you just focus on the power of just one. And so let me help you to understand this. I remember it was a couple years back, I was watching an interview where somebody was interviewing Will Smith. For those of you who know, we're talking about, blockbuster, Hollywood movie star Will Smith, who has been in so many movies, has gotten so many awards, and has really had just really a notable, tremendous career, especially for somebody who just started off in just a sitcom, who's been able to be one of the top-rated actors in Hollywood. And he was just talking about his journey and his process that has made him the type of dedicated actor that he is. And he said that there was one particular summer where his dad came up to him and his siblings, and his dad said, listen, I want you all to build a wall. And he says that, I want you to build a wall here at this particular building. And Will said that him and his siblings were looking at his dad like, are you crazy? Are you serious right now? What do you mean build a wall? Because first of all, they had never built a wall before. And the other thing is, it just seemed like a daunting, overwhelming task that they would never be able to complete. And he said that once they got past how overwhelming the task appeared to be, once they got past the fact that it appeared to be something that they weren't capable of, he said that there was a shift in their focus. And he said that the major shift that became was that when they stopped focusing on trying to build an entire wall, And all they did was focus on laying one brick down, one at a time, and laying that brick down the best that they can. And after laying down that one brick, then focusing on laying down the next brick. And the reason why I share that with you is here's what I need you to realize. When it comes to whatever it is that you're looking to make happen for you, sometimes you have to take that one brick approach. You just got to focus on that one thing that you've got to do and knock that out for today. And then tomorrow, focus on doing that again. Some of you right now, the only difference in the distance between you realizing and accomplish whatever your goal is in your business is to just simply have that laser focus of just doing that one thing. So what I'm saying is, as opposed to focusing on the entire sales amount that you're trying to generate for the entire month, what if every day you just focus on just making one sale? If every single day you just focus on making that one phone call? What if every day you just focus on doing that 1 hour worth of exercise? What if every day you just focus on literally every single day you just focus on that one core activity that you know that if you do it consistently every single day, that it's going to move you that much closer to your dreams and your goals? And so what I want you to do is I want you to think about something significant that you're trying to make happen right now, something that you want to do. And I don't know what that thing is for you, but I want you to think about what that thing is. And then I want you to just think about one activity that you need to focus on. And so what I'm saying to you is you need to just do one. Just focus on that one core activity. And what I'm asking you is, can you have the level of commitment to do that one thing every single day? And what I'm saying to you is, if you're willing to do that one thing every single day with a laser focus, there will be a compounded effect. And guess what? Eventually, you will lose that weight. Eventually, you will get out of debt. Eventually, you will be able to take your business to the next level. And so what I'm saying is there is tremendous power in one. So what is that one key strategy that you need to implement right now into your life, into your business, that is going to get you to the next level? What is that one thing that you need to eliminate from your diet that's going to allow you to start losing that weight? Maybe you've been taking in too much sugar. What is that one core activity? Maybe it might mean getting up and going for a walk every single day for that 1 hour, doing that core activity. What is that one thing? It might mean, for those of you who are trying to write a book, it may mean that you sit down every day for 1 hour and you ensure that you're actually brainstorming, writing, and actually thinking about what you're going to put in that book. There is tremendous power in just doing one. And so oftentimes when we're looking for that formula of success, we want it to be extravagant, where we want someone to give us like a little secret formula. And oftentimes you will be surprised that there is power in simplicity. And the simplicity is in doing those one key activities. So I want you right now to think about what it is that you're looking to do, what it is you're looking to make happen. And what's that one thing that you could do? What's that one new habit that you can implement into your life right now that is going to help you to get to the next level? What is that one bad habit that you can literally eliminate from your life on a daily basis that's going to get you that much closer? What is that one key activity, that one key strategy? What's that one relationship that you need to build on that is going to allow you to take your life to the next level? You know, one of the things that I tell people all the time, specifically when both myself and my wife, even though that we're speakers and we're coaches, we're always engaged in the process of enrolling in personal development seminars and workshops, and also ourselves getting coaching from other people who are perhaps operating at a different level than us, or even perhaps have one particular area that they have expertise in. And one of the things that I tell people all the time who are going through coaching programs, because myself, I have personally enrolled in so many coaching programs. I have gone through so many audio tapes and CDs and so forth. And my goal every single time, no matter if I go through a weekend seminar, a weekend workshop, is to just come away with one key strategy, one key thing that I'm going to implement, and I'm going to ensure that I get a return on my investment. And there are so many people that they go through the process. They're always taking in information. They're always taking in data. They're always taking in content. But the issue is they never make the commitment to just apply one key strategy. And oftentimes, all you need is just that one strategy that's going to create a tremendous breakthrough in your life. And so I just think about, it was probably about 2 years ago, I did a what I call a VIP session with somebody who's sort of a colleague and also who I consider to be even a mentor, because there is something that she was doing in her business that was really creating some tremendous results within her business. And so I did a VIP session with her. It's basically where I paid $10,000 so her and I could get in a room together for a couple hours for one day, and I could get just some key strategies. And that particular day, she shared so many powerful strategies with me. And literally, if I took the time to implement all of the strategies that she shared with me, I could be busy for the next 6 months. But my goal, my sole goal, was to just find what was the most compelling strategy, the most compelling technique that she shared with me, and to implement that one thing. And I'm telling you that when I left that session, right away, I just looked at everything that she shared and I just circled one thing, and I decided to implement that one key strategy. Within 3 days of leaving from that particular coaching session with her, within 3 days, that one key session brought me back $7,500. Within a week, it brought me in as a return an additional $5,000. Within a 6-month period, that one key strategy brought me back about $50,000. And the reason why I share that with you is because all I did was focus on one key strategy and implementing that one key technique every single day. And what I'm saying to you is, if you're looking for a breakthrough, if you're looking to get to the next level, stop overwhelming yourself and trying to convince yourself that you need to do A through Z. Stop convincing yourself that you need to do number 1 through 10. And what I'm saying to you is, if you could just literally center down and just try to figure out what's that one key activity that you can implement on a daily basis. And what I'm saying to you is that one key activity will be able to create true transformation and breakthrough for you. And so a lot of times we look at the end result, right? And we think about, man, how is this person able to produce a certain number? How is this person able to hit this particular threshold? And when we think about possibly, trying to hit those kind of numbers ourselves or make something happen ourselves, we can overwhelm ourselves because we think that, hey, you know what, there's no way I can make it happen. But if we can just have that same type of mindset that Lewis has, and not make it complicated, but say to ourselves, you know what, today I'm just gonna do one. And if I wanna push myself to the next level, then I'll see if I can do 2. But the power is in just doing one. And then when you wake up the next morning, you say to yourself, today is a new day, and so today I'm just gonna do one. And then you do one more that day, and then the next day you wake up and you say, wait a second, today is a new day, so today I'm gonna make sure that I just do one. And then you wake up the following day and you say to yourself, I'm just going to do one. There's a gentleman that I heard that was sharing this exact strategy. This gentleman happens to be one of the VPs for a foundation who's responsible for raising money for a very popular university. And he was talking about how for this particular university, they secured over $1 billion. They were able to raise over $1 billion to be able to help with the facilities, to be able to give out scholarships, to be able to really empower the school, to be able to really transform the lives of the students. And so at the time when this gentleman was speaking, he was addressing another foundation that had just come off of a great year where they raised $6 million. And so you've got to imagine that even if you've raised $6 million, when you find out that somebody else raised $1 billion, you can be thinking to yourself like, man, that is a tremendous leap. How do you go from 6 million to getting to over 1 billion? And so that can seem very intimidating. And so they were trying to figure out, well, what's the guy's formula? And he said, man, I know you want to hear something fancy and sophisticated, but he says our ideology and what we do every single day with the people who are responsible for getting the phone calls, for cultivating the relationships, for connecting with our donors, he said, all we focus on every single day is on just doing one. And he says that everybody on his staff, everybody on his team is focused on just doing one. And he says, here's what I mean by that. Every single day we wake up and we say to ourselves, if we can just connect with one donor and get one donor to make a commitment, a significant commitment to our university. And he says that once we've secured that significant commitment, we don't just rest there. We go to sleep, we wake up, and we come back into the office, and then we make a new commitment to just do one that particular day. And then he says, we go to sleep, we wake up, and we come in the office again, and we make a new commitment before the day is over to just do one. And he says that if you just do one every single day, then what ends up happening is at the end of a work week, it turns into 5 days of just doing one. At the end of a regular week, it turns into 7 days of just doing one. He says at the end of a month, it turns into about 30 days of just doing one. And he says the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing is at the end of the year, it turns into 365 days of just doing one. And the compounded effect of just doing one is what allows you to have breakthrough, massive success. And what I'm saying to you is, I want you to think about something that you want to do right now that you want to accomplish. And what I'm saying is stop overwhelming yourself and focus on just doing one. Just consummating and having one deal go through every single day, to just make sure that you have one powerful conversation on the phone and close somebody to making a commitment every single day, that you just focus every day on just doing that 1 hour worth of exercise every single day. If you could just focus on literally just one thing that you are literally deciding to tackle when it comes to your debt, just making a payment on one particular debt every single day, maybe cutting up a credit card or doing something that's going to break you out of that debt every single day. What's that one thing that you can do? And what I'm saying to you is, if you're willing to just do one, if you stop making it complicated, stop trying to focus on doing all these things. And like Stephen Covey would said, you keep the main thing the main thing. Understand that success is a few simple disciplines exercised every single day. And with that level of commitment, with that level of focus, compounded every single day, ultimately, that's what produces the results. That's what creates the weight loss. That is what creates the breakthrough. That is what allows you to write the book. That is what allows you to get to the next position in your company. That is what allows you to start the business. That is what allows you to be able to make tremendous impact, is when you make the commitment every day that I'm just going to do one. And so I want you right now to identify what it is that you need to just do one on. What is that thing? It doesn't need to be sexy. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be difficult. It may just mean that one phone call. It may just mean that 1 hour of writing. It may just mean 1 hour of exercising. It may just mean the 1 hour of tackling your debt. It may just mean 1 hour of personal development. It may just mean 1 hour of spending quality time with your spouse or your children. But what's the one thing that you can do that if you do it every day consistently, compounded, it's going to create a tremendous, tremendous impact in your life? And it makes me think of Darren Hardy. He's the editor-in-chief of Success Magazine. He has a book by the name of Compound Effect. And he talks about the ripple effect, the compounded effect, that when we do just the most simplistic things repeatedly over time, that it has a compounded effect. And that's what ultimately leads to tremendous breakthrough. And so it goes back to that analogy when I think about Will Smith sharing that story. And he says that, you know what, when they had to build that wall, it was so intimidating. But when they stopped focusing on building the wall, and all they did was think about taking one brick at a time and laying that one brick down the absolute best that they could. And then after laying that brick down, getting the next brick and then laying that brick down. And when we're talking about success, you need to be thinking about whatever it is that you're looking forward to doing, to just simply laying bricks. And you need to focus on laying that one brick down at a time. And sometimes laying the brick means making a phone call. Sometimes laying the brick means scheduling sales calls. Sometimes laying the brick means making sure that you don't go to sleep until you have a sale. Sometimes laying the brick means that you're getting up and exercising. Sometimes laying the brick means that you're spending time to cultivate a relationship. I remember when me and my cousins were teenagers, for some extra money, we were part of an organization called Youth Opportunity Unlimited, YOU. And so we would go into neighborhoods and we would have our boxes with candy. You know, we would have chocolate covered turtles, peanut clusters, and some other things. And we would go into neighborhoods, complete neighborhoods that we had no idea, we didn't know anybody. And we would go and we would knock on doors and we would go in there and just try to sell these boxes of candy. And the boxes of candy retailed for about $4. And every box of candy that we sold, we made $1. And so the key was when we went into these neighborhoods, you know, you wanted to be the person that sold the most amount of items. The reason why is at the end of the day, when you sold your merchandise and you sold these candy, for every candy you sold, you made $1. So if you sold 0 boxes, you made no money. If you sold 20 boxes, you made $20. If you sold 50 boxes, you made $50. And it wasn't that easy going door to door. And there were many a times when people didn't open the door, many a times when people shut the door in our face, many a times when people said no, that they weren't interested, or many a times they said, get out of here. What are you doing knocking on my door? But one of the things that we always tried to do was you wanted to be the top salesperson. Why? Because at the end of the day, we would calculate what everybody earned, and the person who sold the most amount, would get a bonus. And the bonus would be that you would get an extra $1. You would get an extra $1 for each one of the boxes that you actually sold. And so everybody wanted the bonus because you could double your income. And so I remember every day whenever it was during the summertime, we were on summer break, and we would get dropped off into the neighborhoods. I wanted to be the top seller. And I tell you, every day when I first started off trying to be the top seller, I started to think about, well, who was the top seller the previous day? And so the previous top seller was 47. And I said, oh man, I got to try to do 48. I got to try to sell 48 boxes. And when I put that number in my head, a lot of times it seemed overwhelming. And so after knocking on about 5 doors, 6 doors, and no after no after no, getting to that 40 something just seemed impossible. And every time, that's how I took the approach. I was never, ever the top salesperson. But then when I shift my focus and I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to focus on the end number. I'm not going to focus on what the end number is or focus on what the previous number is for the day. But every single time, I'm just going to focus on selling 1 box of candy. And once I sell that box, my objective is to sell the next box of candy. And I started to take that approach. When I knock on this door, I just need to sell 1. And after I sell that 1, I need to knock on enough doors until I sell 1 more. And so when I took that 1 approach, sure enough, at the end of the day, I found that my box was empty. And then when it was time to go to the next neighborhood, I had to load back up. And all I did was I said, I got to sell 1 box of candy. After I sell that 1 box of candy, I got to knock on enough doors until I sell the next box of candy. And I tell you, I'll never forget that day that I sold the most amount of boxes. Up until that point, I think the most amount of sales was about 47 boxes. And I think that day I sold 63 boxes of candy. And I was blown away when I found out how many boxes of candy I sold. And I had no idea, honestly, had no idea how many I sold. All I was doing was I was just focusing on selling that 1 candy box at a time. And so what I'm saying to you is that you'll be surprised how you can be able to realize the type of results that you want if you stop overwhelming yourself and if you just focus on 1. And so I'm extending an invitation to you right now to stop being focused on building the entire wall. Stop just being focused on getting to the end game and losing the 50 pounds and getting out of all the debt or getting your business to the next 6 figures or whatever it is that you're looking to do. And I'm asking you to just focus on doing 1. Just focus on 1. There is power in 1. And when you focus on doing that one thing and you get that done today, wake up tomorrow morning and then go ahead and focus on that one thing again. And once you knock that out tomorrow, get up the following day and do it one more time. And I'm telling you, if you can do that over and over and over and over and over again, that is what makes champions. That is what produces tremendous results. That is what leads to breakthrough. And that is what's going to allow you to show up for your life and get yourself to the next level. You know, all I need you to do is just focus on just doing one. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. And the reason why I say that is because, let me tell you, at one point or another, many of us begin to pretend. You know, we pretend to want to go after our goals and our dreams. We pretend to want to go after our new career goal. We pretend to want to lose the weight. We pretend to want to get out of debt. We pretend that we want to finally get uncomfortable and do something extraordinary with our lives. And so it was George Bell who said this. He said that you can pretend to care, but he said that you can pretend to care, but you cannot pretend to show up. And I believe that many of us are playing the pretend game. We're pretending to care about our goals and our dreams. We're pretending to want to lose the weight once and for all. We're pretending to want to write the book. We're pretending to want to go back to school and get the education. And the reason why I say we're pretending is because we find ourselves having a whole lot of great conversation, but we haven't been willing to follow it with action. We haven't been willing to show up. And that's why I think what George Bell said was so profound when he said that, listen, you can pretend to care. In other words, you can pretend to have a bunch of great conversation. You can pretend to want to get out of debt. You can pretend to want to lose the weight. You can pretend to want to start the business. You can actually pretend to want to go back to school. You can pretend that you have gotten over your past disappointments and your past failures. But ultimately, there's something that you cannot pretend to do. And that thing is you cannot pretend to show up. Because showing up is an action. It's something that you have to do. And so, you know what? When it comes to actually showing up, you can't just go ahead and rest on your conversation. You can no longer just rest on all the great excuses that you're making. And so as I look back and I reflect in my personal life and I think about the only reason why I'm able to do what I do today, the only reason why I can say that, you know, I feel that I'm living in my purpose, the reason why I'm able to use my voice to inspire people, to use my voice, to be able to help people to get past their disappointments and failures, to be able to help people to come up with what their signature story is and being able to leverage their story so that they can have more impact and do this thing that I believe that I've been called to do is because I got past the pretending stage. And I've got to be honest with you, there was a moment that I was pretending. And the time that I was pretending was probably the last year and a half that I was still in corporate America. And here's what I mean by pretending. You see, I was showing up every day to my job and trying to keep a smile on my face and trying to maintain a positive attitude. All the while, even when I was performing my job and trying to, act like I was, a great employee to my managers on my team and the other people who are there. And even though I did my absolute best to perform, on the inside, there was a part of me that was always saying, you know what, there's got to be more than this. On the inside, there was a part of me that really was not fully content. On the inside, there was a part of me that knew that the way that I was showing up in the job was not congruent with what I really truly desired in my life. So to be quite honest with you, I played the game. I just continued to pretend. And so I would pretend by getting up every day and showing up to work and trying to maintain a positive attitude. I would pretend by making sure that I stayed a little late in the evening to do my work. I would pretend by making sure that I was having engaging conversations with my colleagues. All the while on the inside, there was this friction. All the while on the inside, there was this turmoil because there was something on the inside that was saying, Andy, there's got to be more than this. And maybe perhaps you know what it's like to pretend, to play the game, right? And to pretend that you're content when you're showing up to this job, when you know that something inside of you is saying that there's got to be more. Or maybe you've gotten very good at pretending through conversation. In other words, you can talk a good game with the absolute best of them. That's right. Now, you know what? When you get around other dreamers and believers and entrepreneurs and people who are making things happen, you start talking about your goals and your dreams. You start pretending to be serious about stepping out on your goals and your dreams. You start pretending to be serious about maybe perhaps going down a new career path. You begin to pretend to be serious about losing the weight or getting out of debt or doing that thing that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, but all the while you know that you're simply pretending. And the reason why you know that you're pretending, because now it has been months, literally 6 months, 7 months, and maybe even perhaps years, and you've been having the exact same conversation. And so I remember one of the main reasons why I decided to do something radical back in 2004, when really I didn't quite know exactly what my game plan was, and I decided anyway to turn in my letter of resignation. Part of the thing that made me realize that it was time to do that was because I remember showing up to my job, and at that point I had been working there for about 3 years. And I remember that there were some people who were talking to me late night at the client site, and they would talk to me about their dreams, their goals and aspirations outside of the accounting profession. And they would tell me, some of them would tell me that they always wanted to open up a restaurant, or some of them would tell me that they always wanted to open up their own business. And what I realized is that every single year they were having the exact same conversation, but they hadn't taken any steps whatsoever to make that dream, that idea, that vision become a reality. And so what I realized is that they were playing a very sick game with themselves. You see, they were pretending to be serious about their goals and their dreams. They were pretending to want more out of life. They were pretending to see a life for themselves beyond this corporate job that they were working that was no longer fulfilling to them. And so they were simply pretending. And maybe perhaps you know what that's like, to just have a conversation, and the conversation sounds great. The conversation about how you're finally going to get out there again, even though you were hurt in the past, and you're going to get out there again, and you're going to find people to date and have a fulfilling relationship. The conversation you've been having about, starting a business, or the conversation you've been having about taking your business to the next level, or the conversation that you've been having about working on your different skills and developing those skills so that you can have greater impact and so that you can finally do what you think you've been called to do. Those conversations without action really simply means that you're simply pretending. You're pretending to be serious. You're pretending to want more out of life. You're pretending to want to initiate some level of change. And so ultimately, you judge yourself and you judge those around you, not by the things that they talk about, but you judge them based off of the fruit that they produce in their life. In other words, you judge them based off of what are they making happen? What are they acting towards? What are they moving towards? And so there becomes a time that after a while that your conversation is just not enough. As a matter of fact, your conversation is starting to turn into what is called a joke. Your conversation is really starting to be one of those things that it's just a strange, delusional game that you're playing with yourself, because those around you are starting to come to the realization that you're having a whole lot of conversation and you're really not doing anything. And it can happen to the absolute best of us. And I'm telling you, I did a great job of pretending for about 1.5 years. I pretended that I was content. I pretended that I was happy. I pretended that there wasn't something else that I felt that I needed to pursue. And maybe perhaps you know what that's like. And it begins to feel inside as if you're almost a fraud. You're starting to feel like, you know what, I'm a fraud. Why? Because I'm showing up and trying to keep a smile on my face, but yet and still I know that there's something else that I've been called to do, and I'm still not acting on it. I'm having great conversation about it, but I'm just not acting on it. I'm just not making it happen. And so at some point, you got to have a reality check. And at some point, you have to be willing to make the decision yourself that you're going to just stop pretending. I mean, just stop playing the game. I have 2 friends of mine, a couple, And I mean, I love them to death. I mean, they're just a great couple. And we love spending time with them. And one of the ways that I love spending time with them was that we love going out to dinner. And they crack me up because every single time we go out to dinner and they order something that is perhaps unhealthy, like they order, you know, a burger, or they order some wings, or they order some pizza, or they order some French fries. As soon as they place the order, they follow the order. And I don't know if they're saying it for me, or I don't know if they're saying it for themselves, but as soon as they're done placing the order, they say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I enjoy this burger, I'm gonna enjoy this pizza, or I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy these French fries, because, you know, starting tomorrow, everything's gonna change. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna be on my health kick. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna make sure that I'm no longer eating, you know, fried food or this fattening food. And I'm thinking about this, and literally, these friends of mine have been having the same conversation for the past 3 years. And so tomorrow, tomorrow has taken 3 years to happen. And so what I've come to the realization is that they're pretending. And what there is that they're pretending to be serious about changing their health regimen. They're pretending, and what I realize, it's not that they're not capable of it, but it's just that they don't really have a true desire to do a significant change right now. And so I've come to the realization that this conversation that they have is really just maybe perhaps to make them feel better, or maybe perhaps they know that they're in the company of other people. And so it's just something that they say. And so there are some signs and some symptoms and when you are pretending, and I want to make sure that I help you to see some of those signs. And so here are some of the signs when you're pretending. When you're pretending, you do a whole lot of talking without following it with any valid action. That's one of the signs that you're pretending. And so if there's a particular area in your life in which you've been doing a whole lot of talking, I'm talking about a lot of talking about writing the book, a lot of talking about starting the business, a lot of talking about getting to the next position in your direct sales company, a lot of talking about getting out of debt, a lot of talking about whatever it is, but you haven't followed that talking with action, that is a sure tell sign that you are caught up in the pretend phase of your life. And so you are doing nothing but simply fooling yourself. You're not fooling anybody else around you. You are only simply fooling yourself. That is one of the first signs that you are absolutely pretending to want to create a shift and want to create a change in your life. That's one of the first signs. Now, here's another sign that you are pretending. When you find yourself feeling guilty, and out of guilt, you're making excuses. And so in other words, you're feeling guilty because you know that you're not doing the things that you need to do to start the new career, to get the business off the ground, to enter a fulfilling relationship, to lose the weight, to get out of debt. And so because of that guilt, you try to go ahead and mask the guilt by coming up with some great and elaborate excuses. And so what you find is that you begin to make excuses in order to go ahead and really mask the guilt that you're feeling on the inside. Here's another sign that you're caught up in the pretending phase. Another part of the pretending phase is when you begin to give excuses that were not even solicited. In other words, no one even asked you for the excuse. So no one even asked you, why are you eating that burger? No one even asked you, well, why aren't you writing your book? No one even asked you, well, why haven't you started the business? And then you yourself making it your own personal choice to make sure that without the person even asking you, you feel like you have to go ahead and throw an excuse out there. So you're sitting down at dinner and nobody really cares about why you decide to order a burger and some French fries. And now all of a sudden you're putting it out there. Oh, well, I'm just ordering these burgers and fries because starting tomorrow I'm going to sell my health. Well, listen, no one asked you why you order burgers and fries. No one really cares. But you decided that you're going to go ahead and throw an excuse out there anyway. And part of the reasons why you're doing that is because on the inside, there's some internal conflict. And the conflict lies between what it is that you want to happen in your life and what it is that you're currently doing. And so what you've come to the realization is that you say that you want something, but you're not acting and doing something that is congruent with what you say that you want. And because of that, you don't feel good about it. And because you don't feel good about it, you decide that, you know what, I've got to throw an excuse out there so I can help myself to feel a little better. But at the end of the day, guess what? Those excuses are doing absolutely nothing for you. And so at some point, you have to be willing to stop pretending. Here's one of the last things that I want to share with you. That's another sign of when you're pretending. When you are pretending, you want absolutely no accountability. And so in other words, when you tell somebody, hey, you know what, I want to go ahead and start the business, and they say, well, listen, I want to hold you accountable. What do you need to do? All of a sudden, you back out and you hide away from being held accountable. All right. This is the person that says, you know what, I want to go ahead and write the book. And somebody says, well, what's your deadline for writing the book? And then so you back out of giving a deadline. And so you tell somebody, I want to quit smoking. And they say, well, listen, when do you want to quit smoking by so I could go ahead and hold you accountable? And the first thing you do is you begin to backpedal. And so the big sign of somebody who is simply pretending, people who are pretending do not want to be held accountable. In other words, they don't want an accountability partner. They don't want anyone who's going to check them on what they say. People who are serious about realizing their goals and their dreams, people who are serious about getting to the next level, they put something out there and they want to be held accountable because they understand the accountability is going to have them have to act. And so I tell you, years ago, over 5 years ago, when I decided to do this Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational call, I remember literally filming a quick video and putting it out there on social media and letting people know that I was going to start this motivational call every single Thursday. And I knew that by putting the video out there and setting a date, that now I was being held accountable by hundreds of people. And if I didn't follow through, then what it was going to mean is that I was not a man of my word. And so when you're serious about getting things done, you want to be held accountable. But when you are simply pretending, guess what? You do not want to be held accountable. And one of the last signs of when you are simply pretending, people who are pretending, they find ways to hide out whenever it's time to make a decision. And so, you know what, as for me, as a speaker, as a coach, I get to see that all the time. So let me tell you what I mean by that. People who say, you know what, Andy, I want to go ahead and join one of your coaching programs. Or Andy, you know what, I want to participate in the next one of your live events, right? And so they put it out there that, you know what, I want help. I want assistance. I want to go to the next level. And then when it's time for them to make a decision, guess what? They disappear. They enter the witness protection program. And so they're visible as long as they don't have to make a decision. They're visible as long as they don't have to act. But now that it's time for them to act, now that there is an event for them to sign up for, now that there is an opportunity for them to join the coaching program, now that there is an opportunity, see, they're fine with saying, hey, I want to come to your next event when they know the next event is a year off. They're fine with saying, hey, I want to be a part of your coaching program when they know that the coaching program opens up again in another 6 months. But now that it's time to act, they hide out, they disappear. And so it's a perfect example. If you find yourself hiding out when it's time for you to act, if you find yourself hiding out when it's time for you to make a decision, then chances are you're simply pretending. And George Bell said this. He said, you know what? You can pretend to care all you want. You can pretend to have these great conversations. But at the end of the day, you cannot pretend to show up. Because showing up requires some level of action. Showing up requires that you're going to actually have to do something. Showing up means that you're going to have to pull the trigger. It means that you're going to have to book a flight, swipe your credit card, read the book, show up to the gym, cut up some credit cards, begin the budget, get out there and start taking care of yourself. Get out there and allow yourself to be vulnerable again and start dating and put yourself out there and put things out there knowing that it may be criticized, knowing that it may not be perfect. But when you decide to show up, You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to stick your neck out, as they say. But you see, many people are pretending. They're hiding behind great conversations, and they're hiding behind all the excuses. And so my question for you is, are you ready to step out? Are you ready to show up? Or are you going to just keep pretending to be serious about your goals and your dreams? Are you going to keep pretending to want to go ahead and do whatever it is that you've been set out to do? I don't know what that thing is for you, but you know what it is. You know what it is that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, that you literally have been putting off, and you simply have been pretending. You've been playing the game. And so no one has held you accountable because you're not allowing anyone to hold you accountable. You're not taking any action. And so you're satisfied, and you have developed a habit of just having a bunch of great conversation without following that conversation with any type of action. But you don't understand that ultimately your habits are going to form your destiny. And what you're doing is, every single time you form a habit of just making excuses and not taking action, you're avoiding your destiny. And so what I'm saying is that now you got to get uncomfortable. And part of getting uncomfortable means that you got to stop hiding out. You got to stop pretending. You got to exercise some level of discipline and start doing what it is that you said that you're going to do. Jim Rohn said that we must all suffer from one of two pains in life. He said the pain of discipline, the discipline of getting up and going to the gym, the discipline of writing the book, the discipline of applying for this new career, the discipline of going back to school, the discipline of cutting up the credit cards and submitting to a budget, the discipline of getting the knowledge and stretching yourself and growing so that you can get to the next level. We must all suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. He said, but the difference is discipline weighs ounces. It's light. Once you get adjusted, you develop a new habit. It's light. But he said that regret weighs tons. And you see, the people who are pretending, they're subscribing, giving themselves literally a prescription to go ahead and suffer from the second pain, the pain of regret. Because they're going to look back at their life and they're going to say to themselves, what if I would have not been pretending? What if I would have decided to write the book? What if I would have actually gone after this new career path? What if I would have started the business? What if I would have gotten out of debt? What if I decided to go ahead and open my heart again and be susceptible again? What if? That's painful. And so ultimately, you got to make a decision. Are you going to exercise some discipline? Or are you going to have to deal with this ongoing regret? And so I'm inviting you right now to stop pretending, because you're really not fooling anyone. And we've all done it. I've pretended, and I've got to catch myself when periodically, if I start having too many conversations about something without actually taking action. Because that's normally a sure tell sign that you're starting to get into that pretend zone. And so I'm inviting you right now to stop pretending and start being very serious about mapping out a game plan and beginning to take some action. And I'm asking you to take action right now on your goals and your dreams. And it may even start off with just being something very small. I don't know what that is for you. It might just mean making a phone call. It might mean that the moment you get done with listening to this message, you start jumping up and down and running in place and doing some jumping jacks and doing some push-ups on the floor. It may even mean that you got to go ahead and open up your fridge and pour out all the junk and throw away all the garbage in your fridge. It may mean that you got to pick up the phone and say sorry to somebody. It may mean that you got to sign up for a coaching. It may mean that you got to purchase a book. I don't know what it means for you, but what I'm saying is you've got to do something that's going to move you towards your goals and your dreams, that's going to move you towards this thing that you've been wanting to do, so that you can go beyond conversation, and you've got to leave the excuses behind so that you can finally show up. Because George Bell said this, you got to pick or choose. You got to pick or choose. He said, listen, you can pretend to care and make it sound real good, having great conversation, or coming up with some fantastic excuses. But one thing that you cannot do is you cannot pretend to show up, because there'll be eyes on you. When you show up, your actions begin to speak for themselves. When you show up, people can look on and they can actually see the fruit of what you said that you're going to do. And so I'm inviting you right now to just examine your own personal life. Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living. And I want you to look at your life, and I want you to think about some of the symptoms that I told you are symptoms when someone is potentially pretending. And I want you to simply make a decision right now that you're no longer going to pretend, and that you're going to start taking action, and you're going to start moving forward. And this wouldn't be Andy Enriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, nobody else will.